I'm still not afraid, and I still believe in the independent federal judiciary, so let's go.
What a time. That was James Comey proclaiming his innocence once again. The former FBI director surrendered earlier today to law enforcement at a federal court in the Eastern District of Virginia. Comey was indicted by a grand jury on multiple felonies yesterday, initially over his infamous 8647 seashell image he posted on Instagram back in May 2025. The president responding to the indictment at the Oval Office earlier today.
86, you know what 86, it's a mob term for kill 'em, you know? You ever see the movies? 86 'em. The mobster says to one of his wonderful associates, 86 'em. That means kill 'em. People like Comey have created tremendous danger, I think, for politicians and others. Comey is a dirty cop. He's a very dirty cop.
All right, Daniel, I think you and I might have talked about the last indictment and then that went away. What do you foresee on this one?
Basically the same thing, that there is something called the First Amendment here, and they're not going to find evidence of him saying, oh, I'm going to write an Instagram post to try to get Trump killed. And so this was a dumb social media post, but if dumb social media posts were a crime, then everyone in America would be in jail, basically. And this is not. This is basically
but not
Trump.
Everyone is the FBI director.
I know, but
That's true, and not
reason,
everyone is posting 8647.
The only reason Trump is going out and DOJ is going after Comey is because he's a critic of Trump. If he was
more than a critic of Trump. He was determined to take Donald Trump down.
But that doesn't mean, oh, let's just throw trash charges every time.
Literally conspiring with the Obama administration. I mean, what he did was totally out of the realm of the FBI director role. He literally perpetuated a lie. They ended up leaking to the media. It is completely disgraceful what James Comey did. Now, I think that it might be difficult. I mean, you're the lawyer, Alex, but I think it's going to be tough for there to be truly a case. Although this is a grand jury indictment. They said that
it was out of North Carolina, which is a more fair. Well, I want to get to you on that. I'm going to come to you in just one second.
I want my part of North Carolina.
Let's jump in here.
Right.
And one of the things you just said is that it's a social media post protected by the First Amendment. The thing I will take issue if I'm going to try to argue, against Comey here is that true threats are not protected by the First Amendment. So can we get this, or, the Trump administration, DOJ, can they get this to the true threat standard? And one of the things from a 2023 Supreme Court case says, it has to be a reckless standard, right? That the speaker disregarded a substantial risk that their words could be viewed as threatening violence. I would make the argument that as former FBI director, he knows what 8647 means. And he knows that he has supporters, and he knows, that the political environment we are, the political rhetoric, that kind of post could pose a significant threat to President Trump's life. I mean, we've already seen how many assassinations.
Don't you see a legal tactic? Because right now Americans are so hungry for an age of accountability, a massive season of accountability to go. So now let's look at two who are in the process. When you're in the process, you can't go very far. You can't leave the country. And so maybe this is the smaller crime, but it puts them in the process. Same with Brennan. So if that's the case and something is coming of an accountability, are we going to then start to get onto the J6 stuff, get onto the Russiagate stuff?
So, Blaine, what you're
is this
telling
a gateway?
me is we can't deport James Comey? Is that what you're telling us?
I think we tried. I have a list of countries that I had put out.
What about
I just think that this tit for tat is like, for the average American watching this, they're thinking, why isn't the Trump administration trying to focus on the economy instead of putting Trump's picture on limited edition passports, cleaning up the reflecting pool at the Lincoln Memorial?
I can't wait for the passport, and they should put a crown on his head. It would be so freaking awesome. But can I just say one thing real quick? I think with James Comey, but you have to understand, he abused his role as FBI director. What he did to President Trump and his just hatred towards him is just so clear. And when in this indictment, it basically said, there was a serious expression of an intent to do harm to President Trump. I think what we're going to get out of this also is a deposition. It will be very interesting to see what James Comey says.
Information. Truth is freedom.
is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.